You keep checking your phone like an answer is coming. You keep waiting for the boss, the partner, the market to finally notice you and fix what's broken. Nobody is coming. Somewhere under the busyness, you're hoping someone swoops in. A mentor, a windfall, a diagnosis, a viral break, and does the hard part for you. You call it hope. It's actually a delay tactic. This isn't about being cold or giving up on people. It's about counting correctly. How many times in your life someone else's rescue actually arrived versus how many times you had to move yourself. Think back to the last genuinely hard stretch of your life. The layoff, the breakup, the diagnosis, the death. Now trace who actually solved it. Not who comforted you, who solved it. Notice the delay, the weeks or months where you waited for a sign, a call, a rescue that never showed up before you finally acted yourself. That gap cost you something real. You do this constantly and don't notice. Refreshing an inbox for the offer, scrolling for the message that changes everything, praying the next conversation solves it. It's a background process running all day. You ask five people what you should do before you ask yourself. You want someone else to hand down the decision. So if it goes wrong, it wasn't fully yours. That's not collaboration, that's hiding. You dress it up as patience, as trust, as not wanting to be pushy. Really, it's just outsourcing the risk of moving first onto someone who was never going to move for you. You want the green light, the promotion talk, the approval, the you ready from someone with authority. Meanwhile, the people who moved past you never got that memo. They just moved. You call it preparation. One more course, one more book, one more plan, but really you're stalling because the actual first step requires you, alone, without backup. You learned this pattern early, long before you had the vocabulary for it. Someone taught you, without meaning to, that waiting was safer than acting. Growing up, when things got hard, an adult usually stepped in. A parent covered the bill, a teacher smoothed the conflict, someone bigger absorbed the consequence. Your nervous system learned rescue was the default outcome. When someone showed up and fixed it for you, that felt like being cared for. So your brain quietly fused the two ideas. Being saved equals being loved. Waiting to be saved became waiting to be loved. School graded you for following instructions, not for initiating anything. Work rewarded you for staying in your lane. You were trained for years to wait for the next assignment, not to create your own. Every story you consume, the discovery, the lucky break, the mentor who believes in the underdog, quietly reinforces that transformation arrives from outside. Nobody markets the version where you just did the unglamorous work alone. Somewhere, you decided that relying only on yourself means being isolated, cold, friendless. So you keep waiting for support instead, even when the support isn't actually coming. If you act and it fails, there is no one else to blame. That's the real fear underneath the waiting. As long as someone else could still show up, the failure isn't fully yours yet. As long as you're waiting for the right conditions, you get to keep the story that you would have succeeded if only things had lined up. Moving destroys that story instantly. Deciding to rely on yourself is the easy sentence. Living it is where it actually gets brutal in ways nobody prepares you for. The moment you stop waiting and start moving, there's no scaffolding underneath you. No boss assigning the next step. No partner co signing the plan. Just you and a decision with no guardrails. When you were waiting, a stalled life had a villain: the market, the X, the system. The instant you take the wheel, every future outcome traces back to you, and that's heavier than it sounds. The friends and family who liked you dependent will not clap when you stop needing them the same way. Some will call it selfish. Some will quietly pull back. That reaction is real and it stings. Nobody tells you that self reliance starts clumsy. Your early independent choices will be worse than the ones you'd have made with the committee because you haven't built the muscle yet. You send the application, make the call, quit the thing, and then nothing happens. No instant validation, just quiet. That quiet is where most people quit and go back to waiting. There's an actual grieving process for giving up the idea that someone was going to swoop in. It can feel like mourning a person who never existed. Because in a way, you are. You want to feel ready before you rely on yourself. That readiness doesn't show up first, it shows up after months of doing the thing badly and surviving it anyway. Some relationships were built entirely around you needing rescuing. When you stop needing it, some of those bonds don't survive the shift. And that's a real cost, not a small one. The doubt doesn't show up when things are easy. It shows up at 2 a.m. before the deadline, when it would be so much easier to believe someone else should be handling this. Rescue stories get applause. The mentor, the lucky break. Quiet, self driven progress gets almost none because there's no dramatic moment to point a camera at. When you were waiting, other people's encouragement kept you going. Now you have to generate your own motivation on the days nobody's watching and nothing's paying off yet. You're not just changing your habits, you're changing who you believe you are. From someone things happen to into someone who makes things happen. That rewrite takes longer than any plan you'll make. Self reliance isn't a punishment for being unlovable or unsupported. It's simply the accurate description of how change has always worked. For everyone, including the people who look rescued from the outside. Every rescue story you admire has a hidden first move nobody filmed. The years of unglamorous effort that came before the lucky break landed. The luck found people already in motion. This isn't an argument against help. Mentors, friends, and communities are real and valuable. The distinction is that they amplify a move you already made. They don't make the first move for you. Every other person in your life will come and go, help and disappear, disappoint and surprise you. You are the only one guaranteed to be present for the whole thing. Build accordingly. Waiting isn't always wrong. Waiting for more information, more clarity, more data is smart. Waiting for someone's permission to begin is the part to cut out entirely. Instead of asking who's going to help you, start asking what's the smallest move you can make today with exactly the resources already in your hands. That question always has an answer. You don't earn the right to act by feeling ready first. The readiness is a byproduct that shows up after enough reps, not a gate you have to pass through before you're allowed to start. Strength was never about needing nobody. It's about being able to act even while scared, unsupported, and uncertain, and still choosing to move rather than freeze and wait. Somebody has to go first in every version of your life that actually changes. Decide now that it's going to be you, so you stop being surprised every time no one else steps up. Don't try to prove self reliance with one dramatic leap. Prove it with one small kept promise to yourself today. The workout you didn't skip, the message you sent without being asked. Think of the one person you currently expect to fix things for you financially, emotionally, professionally. Notice how much of your peace depends on their behavior instead of your own moves. Think about the promotion, the raise, the recognition you're waiting for someone to hand you. Ask honestly whether you built the case for it yourself or whether you've just been patient. The appointment you haven't booked, the habit you keep meaning to start once things calm down. That's the rescue fantasy showing up as someday. Someday isn't coming to save you either. Maybe you're withholding your own peace until someone says sorry the exact right way. That's handing your closure to a person who may never deliver it. You can close it yourself. The budget you haven't built, the debt you haven't faced head on, because you're hoping a bonus or a windfall handles it. That's the same reflex, just wearing a financial disguise. Every one of those situations has the same fix underneath it. Not a rescue, not a rescuer, just you making the next small move without waiting for someone to hand you permission. You know exactly which call, which conversation, which decision you've been circling for months, hoping conditions change so you don't have to be the one who does it. Sit with that question honestly, without the comforting story. If the truthful answer is nobody, then the next question is simple. What are you going to do about it starting today? Don't overhaul your whole life this week. Just find the one place you've been waiting for rescue and make the smallest possible move there before you go to sleep tonight. If this landed, reply and tell me the one thing you've been waiting on someone else to fix and what your first move looks like. That's the only follow up this lesson needs.